Heyo everybody, Haku here for this week's catch-up double review for One Piece, and we have One Piece anime episodes 842 and 843. Yeah, that's where we are. My experience this week was a little bit different than my experience last week, where last week it was sort of like the episodes weren't that amazing, I guess, but there was a lot of creative stuff and a lot that I really enjoyed about it. And for these two, I definitely still enjoyed watching them. It was just whatever. But the episodes themselves were just kind of whatever. They were just kind of meh, ordinary One Piece episodes. So I'll talk about each of them bit by bit and then my full kind of general thoughts for each. So let's start off with 842. 842 at the beginning. The recap wasn't really bad or anything. It was about a minute and a half. A little longer than sometimes, shorter than sometimes. It was just a normal, typical recap. And that's starting off for most of these, or at least most of 843, the whole general normalness of it. But I will say that 842 was a little bit below average for One Piece, I think. Starting off story-wise, Katakuri cuts off their escape temporarily before Ichiji steps in. And one thing that this episode is when I was like, it was really getting to me. It had before throughout this entire arc, but this episode was really getting to me like, when did Caesar become so weak? Caesar was an actual like OP threat during Punk Hazard. When did he get so weak he can't even carry somebody away compared to what Caesar Clown was before? I just don't get how his character has been this flanderized. I don't know what happened to Caesar Clown. But one thing that happened with this episode that I noticed very early on, and it got better towards the end, but especially towards the beginning, the animation was way down. Like, way down. Even when they were on budget saver mode 2 episodes ago, it looked like the same animation kind of style, but they just cut down on the frames. They had a lot of still frames and a lot of very framey animations where they kind of just took a cheaper route with it. But this time, it actively looked worse. It's not that it looked cheaper, but it looked worse. Like, it looked like a YouTube fan animation, only I'm pretty sure there's probably a lot better YouTube fan animations for One Piece. So yeah, it was really weird how far down the animation quality was, because it was down a lot farther than normal. But it actually wasn't all that distracting, because it had this, I don't know, I don't want to say it had a certain appeal, but it was one of those things where the animation was way, way down, but in a way it's kind of quirky in a way that you don't really mind that much. It still wasn't that bad to watch. So yeah, it was bad quality-wise, but it wasn't really too much of an affront to watch, so I didn't really mind it that much. One thing that is still a bad choice, I think, though, is those moon boot sound effects were going crazy this episode for the Germa. The moon boot sound effects were always really loud and really lame, and they take away from the Vinsmokes doing cool things, and that is still true. The moon boots are still pretty lame. The panda girl from Big Mom's family actually gets a line. I was surprised. I don't think she's ever spoken before. The Vinsmokes, though, in all the fighting scenes they had with Big Mom and with Katakuri, the Vinsmokes and with Smoothie and Reiju, the Vinsmokes were actually pretty cool. They did some cool things, but I will say that their designs are still pretty cheesy. I think the colorful Power Ranger designs are still pretty cheesy. Brule then stops Caesar, and again, I was just like, why is Caesar so lame? Wouldn't he immediately be like, oh, I was stopped by a mirrored version of myself, this must be Brule's power, instead of being comedically stupid and confused for a while? I know it was done for comedic effect, but it just felt really unnatural that they're in this life or death situation, and he doesn't at all remember Brule's power, which has been very central to this entire storyline. That was the point, though. I had remembered that from the manga, so I was like, okay, because remember last episode I was like, I really don't remember much of any of this. I don't know how much of it is added in and how much of it's from the manga. Stuff from this episode is where I started remembering, though, and I was like, oh, okay, I remember all this happening. Galette trapping everybody, though. Hot. I just have scratched into my notes, Galette hot damn with a B. Like, holy crap. I've said before that Galette could be best girl, but damn Galette. Then Katakuri sees the future of what's going to happen with the bomb exploding. Bomb takes down the Wholecake Chateau. We get a recap explanation of what's going on with the bomb. You know, I typically say that I don't like these recap explanations, but I see the point for them. Same case here. I see the point in having the recap explanation, but I'm not that big a fan of it. I feel like there's probably better ways of doing that. What is this? Oh, yeah. Surprising me once again, lines for the Long Arm Tribe girl, who I remember her from the anime, but not the manga, because I don't remember her at all in the manga, but earlier in the anime, she was there during the whole Luffy speaking to Big Mom scene. So, again, lines for that character were a bit surprising. So, yeah, towards the end of the episode, things with the animation start to get less bad as the cake is tumbling and everything like that. And then Beija's laugh at the end. I don't think I've ever heard his voice actor get that emotive, you know? Yeah, that was it for the part by part of 842. What I thought is that it wasn't that bad to watch, but actual production quality was a bit distracting at times because it was definitely lower than usual. But it wasn't that bad to watch, which is better than some episodes. It wasn't like I was like bored halfway through or anything. One Piece has had a few episodes in the past that weren't very good that get you like that. But yeah, definitely started off a bit, but it got better towards the end. And as a score, I'd give it 5.5, whatever happened to Caesar Clowns out of 10. So yeah, 5.5. It was like, I don't really have anything super negative or hateful to say about the episode. It was just, not that great. It was a meh One Piece episode. A bit below average for One Piece, but still definitely totally watchable. And it definitely also wasn't an episode where you could just skip the episode and... Because there have been, again, some episodes that I've given low scores to before because it feels like if you took the episode out, you wouldn't miss anything. The story would just keep going on the same. This wasn't like that. There were actually important things there. So yeah, it was one of those things. Wasn't a very good episode. Wasn't a very bad episode. It was what it was. And now to talk about 843. 843 was better, but still just kind of a meh. It was an average One Piece episode. A little on the lower side when it comes to average One Piece episodes, but it was just an average One Piece episode. You could tell from the beginning that the animation was back to normal. It was back to its average One Piece quality that they typically use. The recap at the beginning was pretty much the same length and pretty much the same quality. It wasn't really bad. Who really cared? It was okay recap. So one thing that I thought about this, and it kind of makes, I think, similar things in One Piece a lot, is everybody's freaking out, especially Galette crying and everything, and all I can think is, these people are constantly, like, punching through buildings and stuff in One Piece, and then they get scared of things like falls, and I guess it becomes another one of those things where everybody's like, how does getting shot kill, say, Corazon? How does getting shot kill Corazon when getting nuked doesn't kill Pell, or getting some giant thing falling on them doesn't kill this character or that character? It's one of those One Piece logic things that you just have to go with, where everybody's like so scared of falling from the top of the chateau, and I'm like, you're punching through buildings and stuff. Why do you care about like falling from that height? It seems like it shouldn't be that big a deal to you given your superhuman nature. So, again, that's just one of those One Piece logic things that you have to overlook. Streusen saves them by turning the cake into a real cake. And I was a bit confused at what he was doing at first. I was like, oh, he's gonna make food to somehow save them. I didn't really remember how things went. But the way it was portrayed was a bit confusing at first. So, yeah, and it was a little bit drawn out. But either way, I'm going to sound stupid because I thought the Wholecake Chateau basically was a real cake that was made into a castle. So, yeah. But either way, he did make it into an actual cake. Big Mom enters kind of her extra big and dumb mode. She's usually a big and dumb character, but she enters that hunger rampage mode. Caesar gets his heart back. Now this was really drawn out. There was a lot of reused lines, repeating things, reused animations over and over again. This was really, really drawn out, and I would say that's the big negative for this episode. This episode as a whole I thought was a lot better than the last one, but the big bad thing about it was the Caesar bits just did not work at all. The fire tank pirates leave, all that was good. The Big Mom pirates divide into two to pursue both the fire tanks and the Straw Hats, while some others head towards the Vinsmokes. That's one thing or head towards Germa. That's one thing I'm remembering. I don't remember the character's name. It's not Noose Tort, is it? It might be Noose Tort. But the one member of the Big Mom pirates that was yelling at Germa to surrender or whatever, whose voice was obviously just Zorro's voice. It's like the voice actor was like, I don't need to depart that far from Zorro. Because at first I was like taking notes while watching, and then I hear the voice and I immediately think Zorro, what's he doing? And no, it was just some random Big Mom character. And I know they do that a lot, like when the voice actors for one part of the crew aren't really that involved in an arc. They'll throw them in to voice other characters. Like Frankie's voice actor is obviously Bon Clay, so if Bon Clay and Frankie ever got thrown into an arc together, there'd be some chaos. So it was another one of those situations, but that's not really a complaint or anything. It just took me by shock where I was like, Zorro, what's he doing here? Then what else happened there? The fire tank pirates leave. Oh yeah, Opera shows back up to be scolded by Smoothie and then stand up to Big Mom, and we see him in her clutches See, I think they might have censored some things here, because I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Big Mom just outright killed him in the manga, right? I hope this isn't a spoiler for a future episode. It probably shouldn't be, and even if it is, the episode's already aired since I'm behind. But I thought she just straight up killed him there, but I think she swings at him and then we cut away and we see him, presumably his body, I guess, in her clutches at the end of the episode. But yeah, they might have censored some stuff out here for the anime when it came to the killing of Opera. But then again, I could be totally wrong, because I thought both manga and anime that Moscato had been killed earlier on this arc. I thought that was pretty clear, and then I thought we saw him in the background again later in the arc. So yeah, maybe Moscato wasn't killed? See, there's a lot of confusion with some of that because of Moscato. Because I thought it was so clear that he was killed, and then he showed up later on in the background. But either way, then we have Chopper and Brooke split off to take the shark submerge, and the rest of the Big Mom pirates fill in the ones that weren't there about what happened at the wedding, including Chicken, who is back up, and who was funny this episode, but still, Chicken is back up, and not Cracker. That is something that just bothers me so much this entire arc, that Cracker is just down for the entire arc, after kind of putting in a dominating performance against Luffy, and having the strongest armament haki that Luffy's seen. He just gets that one hit and then is out for the entirety of the arc. So that's one thing that's always bothered me about the arc. And we have the information that the Sun Pirates have fled in the confusion that went on during the wedding. And yeah, that's about it. They just see Big Mom rampaging at the end. So thoughts as a whole, everything quality-wise with production was back to normal One Piece quality. And it was generally just a pretty good episode. It was important, everybody splitting up. If there's one thing to complain about, and one thing that I think totally didn't work, it was the Caesar comedy bits. There were a lot of them. They took up a bit of time from the episode, and they were just a lot more annoying than they were funny. So if there's one thing to say that did not work, it was the Caesar comedy bits. But either way, it was just an okay meh episode to watch. I feel like it was an average One Piece episode, but maybe a little bit on the lower end of the average spectrum. I'd give it like 6.5, I don't know, 6.5 real cake chateaus out of 10. So yeah, just another meh One Piece episode. Hopefully coming up in the future with some of the things that I know are coming up in the future for the anime, because of reading the manga and all that. Hopefully coming soon we can have some really, really good episodes. Hell, maybe even next week's two could be really, really good episodes, because I like this part of the story a lot. And though the past two episodes have been meh, I really like this part of the story, so I hope they can come around and give us some really great episodes from parts that I really like. But yeah, I suppose that's about it for this week's double review. So like if you did like the video, and comment down there too. Tell me what you thought of these two episodes and what you thought of my thoughts on them and all that. Subscribe for more One Piece, both anime and manga, much more on the channel. The manga's really good right now. But I understand if you're an anime-only viewer, I was for years and years and years before I picked up the manga. Subscribe for more. Yeah, I just said that. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel, or I can talk to you there. And if you want a link to our Discord server to talk to me or many more of us about this series and anything else really on Discord, just ask and I'll give you a link to the Discord server if you want to. So yeah, that's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.